Holy crap. That was probably the loudest movie I think I've ever seen.
It was gonna break my eardrums.
Right?
Right. Oh my gosh! I
You could
felt like I
feel it
needed
through you could
earplugs.
feel it through the seat,
It
you
broke
know.
my ears.
Welcome to the Siren Cut. And is it possible to like and dislike a movie at the same time?
Maybe.
It's
Maybe.
kind of how I really felt about this. I tried to go in with an open mind. We talked about that a lot,
Yes.
about don't listen to what's on the internet, even though we had our thoughts on it.
Of course.
But yeah, we tried to go in open minded, and there's a lot to like about this film. As far as certain actors more than others, of course. I didn't. I don't know if I agreed with the Matt Damon casting initially, but
Oh
he was
yeah, he
great.
was
He
really
was
good.
he was really good. I
Yes,
think he
I agree.
captured what the point Nolan was trying to convey. Yeah, he did really a good job. Some of the other actors, there's some good actors in there. John Leguizamo, I think, did a
Did a
pretty
pretty
good
good
actor
job.
for what it was. I
Anne
forgot
Hathaway.
Anne
Oh
Hathaway. She
yeah.
did a really good job. There'd been some talk about whether Tom Holland was not good, maybe a little stilted, but I kind of felt like his character was that. He
He
was
was young.
unsure, young. He kind of came off with a certain sense of trepidation and his sense being, what's
It's
the
like he
word?
knew his limitations. He kind of he he pretty much put that out there. You could feel like he wasn't very confident in himself quite
Right,
yet, and
right.
so that was part of the acting, I would
Right,
think.
right, right. So I think he did pretty well considering what the part was. I know it was filmed in all IMAX, right, cameras, and most of the movie, as far as shot quality, was really good.
It's beautiful, actually.
Some really interesting shots. From what I've seen, being that the size and the loudness of the cameras,
Epic kind
there's a
of feel
well
to
the
it.
feel, but there's a distinct lack of epic shots. Like there's no pullback for like views or even full armies, to kind of get scale. There was a lot of that missing, I thought. Otherwise, the movie looked great. I think we actually saw it in an IMAX theater. Was
Yes.
the theater that we saw it in. I think in general we could say that I liked it more than I thought I was going to. At least for our initial talk, right? We were
Yes.
talking what we liked about it, right?
Right.
So I think I did like it more than I thought I was going to. So
We were expecting bad, but as far as with, miscasting, that sort of thing, if you take that away, yeah, we liked it better than we thought. Still.
right, right. Maybe I covered everything that we kind of liked about it already, but unless you have anything else to add to that,
The ending, for the most
did you
part.
like the
I
ending
did.
or
I loved the ending. I felt like it needed to be longer and a little bit more emphasis put onto it. Felt like it was quick,
like a little rush?
a little rushed,
Right.
yeah. Considering that the movie was nearly 3 hours, 2 hours and 50 minutes or something like
It's weird.
that.
You were saying earlier too that the for being an almost 3 hour movie, it feels like the most rushed 3 hour long movie we've seen in a while, right? That
Right.
you can be that long and still feel
Yes,
rushed, right?
yes. It really did. It felt like it should have been longer because of everything going on, but at the same time, shorter because you're sitting, it's kind of a.
The Odyssey is the kind of book that would probably work better as a series.
I can see
They can
that.
take their time, episode by episode, and do this kind of epic tale. And that there's just so much going on to make a simple movie from is quite an undertaking. And you can tell we jumped from event to event, and that I guess kind of leads into one of the things I didn't like about the movie was I was at least somewhat familiar. It's been years. I think we read this book in high school, and so although I was somewhat familiar as far as my memory goes with a lot of things, the film very much felt like if if you didn't read it, you're going to be lost a bit. You don't know, are these giants, or who are these people, right? The ones in the silver armor, it's like obviously they're giants because they're big, but it's like nobody mentions anything, even narratively, to kind of help the viewer along with what you were seeing, right? Same thing with some of the other events. I think the Cyclops isn't a surprise. That was a little easier just because the Cyclops that was a mythical beast, right?
Right.
But there were some other characters that came up through the multiple events he
Encountered.
encounters that you didn't quite know who everybody was and how they fit in, so it was a little weird. It was almost like you had to kind of know some things before you go into the movie to some degree. If you don't want that feeling of being lost, not knowing what's going on.
I think part of it, like one thing I have to mention, as far as like everyone knows, is Cyclops. I mean, it's in the trailers, but that part of it was actually really really good.
Yeah.
I loved the design of the character, and yeah, it did. It felt like you were going from one thing to the other.
Most of
to
the
other,
events,
and
I
it's
think,
just like
were
a roller coaster.
Yeah, and I think most of the events were actually pretty effective. Whether it was the Cyclops or the giants. There's even this woman he meets. I don't remember if it's in the trailer, so I don't want to spoil anything. But there's a woman he meets also that the scene itself is a really good scene. It's just, again, if you're not familiar with the story, you might not quite know who this is and how this fits in. I did like, since you brought up the ending, I did like how they wrapped up the ending when you find out, how he sees himself and how he, has angered the gods, to some degree, but it was a really interesting take. The only other thing I'd like to point out that I think took me out of the movie a bit, so kind of a negative, the choice they made for them to speak almost modern American vernacular English. Now, I don't think it destroyed the entire film or anything like that. It kind of reminded me, I think, when the first time you watched Sin City and that film noir talk, it took like 15 minutes for you to get used to it, right? I kind of felt that way with this film. Hearing them speak in American English and almost modern phrasing at times. Not overly modern slang. I'm glad they stayed away from like overtly slang terms or anything, but it still felt very off, initially. I think as the story gets going, you could
You
let
forget
you
about
know,
it.
yeah, you forget about it is the best way to put it. Yeah, for sure. I wasn't sure if we were going to talk about this, some of the controversies online and stuff like that, but if you take them for what they are, I don't think it was neither here nor there as far as it didn't destroy the film.
It wasn't such a big
role.
Exactly.
Some other reviewers have noted too that some of these characters that a lot of people had problems with the casting, they were right. They do have very small roles and aren't big enough to make a difference. I thought the movie was pretty good. I wouldn't say I hated it.
Though, oh my gosh.
The few nagging things with the language, dialogue, but the sound was probably one of the biggest negative. It was, the music would come in and it was so loud I could feel my seat rumble. And at times, as certain bass frequencies would come through.
My ears.
Yeah, I had to like plug an ear just so I can not feel that pressure. Yeah, because it was like a pressure. Which is just a weird, you think, I don't know if that was done on purpose or just poorly balanced, in
Right,
edit,
because I know there's some parts where they're almost whispering. The decibel levels of them talking is very low, right? And so you sit there and you can imagine when you watch movies on a television, and so you have to put the volume up, and as soon as the music comes up, you're like, oh my God, you gotta turn it down.
Right, we've all experienced that.
Right,
yeah.
right, and that's pretty much what's going to happen in your own living room if you wait for this.
When this movie comes out on streaming,
because the sound editing, what they did there, it didn't work.
I wonder if it's more of a problem based on where you see the movie. maybe a smaller town who doesn't have a more state of the art sound system or something, and they wanted to make sure that it came through still.
Maybe.
But in a full IMAX with Dolby Cinema, it was just like really loud.
Felt like you were coming out of a
Ear
concert.
fatigue. It's
right.
it's the first movie that's given me ear fatigue after 3 hours of watching it. Just my ears just felt tired from the whole thing. What grade would you give it?
Okay, it's kind of interesting. So I'm gonna kind of talk a little bit more about that.
I had a little bit of a struggle with this too.
I'm glad I had the night to think about this. So
Right.
here's the problem I have with this. So I'm gonna say one more thing negative. In the beginning, it's super slow burn, right?
Right.
And then the middle part, you do a lot of this, and then it's a nice little ending that you have there. That's super short. It's a little shorter than it needs.
Once it gets going,
right?
yeah.
So you have this almost 3-hour movie, and if I had to grade each part, it's easier to do that. But then I'm
Right. I'm
I know it's
grade Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
Act 1, Act 2,
right?
Act 3, right? B minus.
B minus. Okay.
Yeah, because the cinematography.
It's not
the
a bad
acting
grade, though.
No, it's not.
No.
It's not. It's not something I would watch again, mainly because of how slow it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I felt like it needed a little bit more time or something.
That's why I said at the beginning, it's like, can you like and dislike a movie at the same time? There's a lot to like, but I feel like there's actually quite a bit to dislike too. The first 20 to 30 minutes, the editing seems really sloppy. You got this constantly shifting back and forth, some awkward cuts. I think when Robert Pattinson's character is talking to Tom Holland, there's this cut that it's just so jarring in the way that some of the cuts happen that it just felt really sloppy. Halfway through, I think after that first 30 minutes, it does kind of settle in and the editing isn't quite as bad. But I think because of that reason, I went slightly lower than you. I think I'm going with a C+.
Okay. That's fair.
I think C+ is like, it's a high-ish okay, right? And it's weird. Unlike a lot of just okay movies, there's certain parts of the movie that is like, this is great. It makes me feel like this is a great scene. Right. And then it goes back and it's like, wait a second, what's happening now? It's like, that's what it made me feel like. And it's like, okay, before we could figure that out, we're right into the next event. Right. And so I don't know. It's a little weird. I like Christopher Nolan as a director and quite a few of his films. I don't like all his films, but
I like Oppenheimer. That was
Oppenheimer
great.
was great.
Yeah.
It was very well done. Nobody's infallible as far as it's like you pick any great director and they probably got a movie or two at least in their portfolio that is like shake my head. That even for the director, they might have been like, yeah, that was my best work.
I think it should have been a little tighter.
Yeah, it could have been. I know he wrote it himself too. I think Nolan wrote it himself.
Oh wow, yeah. I can't imagine what was on that chopping. I mean, they probably had
tons of stuff.
I mean, just so much sometimes when you have too much things to work with,
what a director's cut's going to be.
Hard. Oh my God, can you imagine?
4-hour film?
Maybe 10.
I mean, that's not. I don't know about 10. I don't know
part
about 10.
Part 2,
right?
especially in the sections that they have. It's a whoa.
Some of the actors, Matt Damon did a phenomenal job.
I liked Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway, she did a pretty good job.
Robert Pattinson. He did pretty good too.
I mean, he played exactly what the role needed him to play.
Yeah.
He was an asshole. And Tom Holland was meek. He was supposed to be meek. It's like that's just his role. And it's kind of hard to recommend because it is a long movie. And I can see it would be a good recommendation for people who know what they're getting into already. If you like these types of movies, not just, the controversies notwithstanding, if you like, the history, regardless of what you think they did to it, but if you like these types of movies, I think it's a given that you should go see it.
I think
right?
you also have to go in with the idea that the first half an hour to 40 minutes that it is a very slow burn.
Right, and it's got to set up a lot.
Yeah.
I'd recommend it to anybody who has an interest in the subject matter. I think that's a
That's
good
a good
way to put
idea.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, subscribe if you want to see what's coming up next, and let us know what you thought about the movie.
And thanks for joining us.
All right, thanks.